Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so we are back with part two. That's four. Welcome to New York inspired horror story. So, for anyone who didn't watch the previous interview, what we do is we take inspiration from Taylor Swift songs and we turn them into horror stories. And this month was Ashton's month, and she did Welcome to New York. And instead of just doing one, she did two, where it was kind of like a choose your own path type thing or your own adventure, I guess. And so we interviewed her already for her first story, which was It's Been Waiting for You. And now this one is Welcome to New York, which I guess technically actually is the first one if you go to your channel in the upload order, but it's not the way we did the interviews.
Yeah, that's
So,
okay. There's a reason for it, and we will get into that.
so do you want to give a little bit about what the story is about?
Sure. So, just like in It's Been Waiting for You, this is a story about a man named Chip who is from Alabama, who life circumstances bring him to New York City. And this go around, he is very much out of luck. He's not really making the money that he thought he was going to be making. He is staying at a place rent free, and whatever little money that he has, he is spending it at the bars, and he's just getting more and more desperate, kind of like if you've watched Uncut Gems, where all of these bad compounding things keep happening until he decides to take up a very special offer of $200 of free play at the Welcome to New York casino that's conveniently right by his apartment.
The first question is, obviously, I know that these stories are Taylor Swift inspired in some way, but how exactly did you come up with the idea for this one?
So, this one, I came up with this a while back ago. There is a casino that's kind of near me that does like these great like free play offers, and It was it wasn't even, like, that great, like I mean, it was, but it's not. It's, like, $20, and it was very late at night. It was, like, 1 AM, 2 AM, and I was just looking around at the faces of everybody, like, around, and it's just like, "Wow, every single person here looks absolutely miserable." Like, nobody is happy, like, they're all sitting at these machines, like, just hitting this button, and they look so like zombie-esque, just like hitting this button, and like some people are winning by mean like you look at their screens, like some people have like multiples of hundreds of dollars, and then it will drop down to like $20 and they just look like so expressionless the entire time. Or people are like, yeah, I gotta be here tonight because I have to pay my rent. And like while I was standing in the very long queue, I was just like, I should write a horror story about this place.
So the man from the first story, he was in New York because of basically hunting. I'm gonna just say a monster, but we don't need to go into it in this one, since we already went into
Yeah.
it in the other one. Is there a reason, like why exactly is the man in New York this time around? Because I know it said that he had been there for 4 months when he was talking about how usually you can get like I think it was like the tourist to pay for you, especially to pay for drinks, especially if you pay for the first round. And little do they know I've only been here for 4 months. I'm paraphrasing, but like, do you have a backstory of why, like, he is there for this particular story?
Not really. Like it's kind of more like he just had a place that he knew that he could stay at, and like that's kind of this whole idea that I was going for of like this whole like parallel universe thing where no matter what, Chip was always going to go from Alabama to New York City. Like the way that he gets there, what happens before he gets there is completely different, but he's always going to end up there. So in this case, it was probably just a lot of people are drawn to New York City. They want to live there. They think that it's full of promises,
Mhm.
and he had a place to stay for free, and he's the type of person to just take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Let's just say he was also running from the cops or something on top of it, because why not?
Oh, so I think that's a very relatable thing of people wanting to go to New York because of the promise or like the idea of living a life that might be a bit grander than the one that you're living, say, in your small town. Because I know I wanted to live in New York for the longest
Yeah,
time when I
I
was
did too.
younger. Yeah. And is that kind of why you that appealed to you because of that hope people have for New York?
I think so. It's like you watch shows like Friends or How I Met Your Mother or like anything else. Like there's so many shows and Gossip Girl like set in New York City. And you're just like, yes, like this is obviously like
Mhm.
the life and there's so much culture there. Like I just remember there's one time that I was at a party and me and my friend were very serious about the facts. Just like, all right, how much money do you have in your bank account right now? Okay, let's just go to New York together. Like we have this little bit of money, get jobs immediately, and then we can stay there and everything will be fine, right?
Oh yeah, totally. It's
Yeah.
not
I mean,
expensive at all.
right. And he only decided that he could not go because he had work the next day, which
Family
solid
alley.
reasoning.
So we keep hearing about the Welcome to New York casino. And then there are also the mentions of like the influencers like early on. I can't remember exactly. I think is he living with them or is it just like in the building that he's with where like those
Um, so
influencers?
the casino he can see from his apartment.
Okay. I know that you said that the idea came from like you being in a casino, but the idea like with the influencers incorporated in like with the casino, was that like a thing that you did just because it's like, yeah, it's New York, there are going to be a lot of influencers, or was it kind of more so like a casino offers this hope of like, hitting the jackpot and getting like a lot of money, and then being an influencer also offers this hope of having this luxurious life. So was there like a tie-in with that, or was I reading
Yeah.
too much into that?
No, I would say that it's both. Like it's kind of like I think that if it was just a normal casino, he probably would have considered going there.
Mhm.
But the fact that it's just, like, supposed to be this whole grand thing and there's, like, so many people posing in front of the sign, it just kinda seems like a very unattractive place to him because it's everything that goes against who he is as a person, like, he's poor, he's always been poor, he's never been good with money, and then there's all these people who are coming to this casino not because they need to, but because they can, and they're being influenced to do so,
And kind
whereas
of
you have
flaunting.
yeah, whereas you have him who, whether it's his fault or not, he doesn't have money, and he would be, like, more of one of those people that, like, typically would go to a casino that just is going there because it's the only thing that they think that they can do in order to make their lives better.
What year exactly? Like, do you have an idea of what year it was set in? Because the influencers make it seem very modern day, but then like the radio and the way that's done, shout out Andrew, what's up?
Yeah.
Uh, sounds kind of more like older. So what made you go with using a radio as like the form of announcement, versus like social media, like scrolling on your phone or something?
Yeah, I think that has a lot to do with who Chip is as a person because he's still even though he's very different tonality wise in the story versus the other one, I think that he still is kind of one of those I don't know what people are calling them nowadays, but like kind of like hipster-ish, like I'm gonna go to the radio and I'm very anti-social media type of person.
Mhm.
So his idea of the influencers and like what he sees of them is really kind of limited to what he sees outside of his window.
Okay. Which, in all honesty, like if you're only seeing it outside of your window, it's really the difference between that and seeing something through a screen on your phone.
Right. And plus I just wanted the radio because Andrew does such a good like sound effects with radios. I'm like,
Mhm.
I want to use this in a story.
That's fair. So the character of Sal, we don't really get like too much about him, but we know that he's in both stories. So in this one, I'm trying to find it, but he seems a bit more I guess I don't really frequent bars too often. So I'm like, in what universe, like, does he know Sal outside of the bar? Or is it like, is there something that I don't know where you can be friendly enough with your bartender to like get money from them?
I like the idea that there are like these certain people in your life that even if you were in a parallel universe that you would always be drawn to.
Mhm.
and that's kind of how I see his relationship with Sal, is that these 2 people, like, for better or worse, are always probably worse for Sal, are always just drawn to one another. The second time that I went to New York City, I did end up going to a bar that was, like, surprisingly not busy at all, and you can still find those there, and the person was very friendly. There was a bar that I went to, like, back when I lived in Bryan/College Station, where you really got to know the bartenders super well, and so I just kinda saw this as this person who was there frequently enough and kind of caused enough trouble where even though it's only been 4 months, this very pesky customer keeps standing out to him.
What exactly does he use this is it always just, like, useless things of what he's using this money that he's borrowing from people? Because he seems to be borrowing a lot of money from different
Yeah,
people.
I mean, he's literally just doing it enough, like, I kind of thought of Charles Bukowski when I wrote this character, and Charles Bukowski, famous poet, very disliked by most people in his social circles, would go to a bar and would get very, very drunk off of limited money and would have people pay for him all the time and got kicked out of a lot of bars, or he would use the money on prostitutes and basically did not use the money wisely at all.
Well,
And I was
that's
just like,
very nice.
yeah, I like some of Bukowski's poems, but he was a terrible person.
He ends up making his way to this casino, and this is when we kinda get the tie-in from the other story. Did you always know that this is where you were going to tie it in at, or was it just kinda like, "I'm writing, and now I'm like, oh, this will be nice here."
Yeah, it was a this would be nice here because like I started the story forever ago. I started the story in like February or March. And I knew that I wanted to connect them somehow, and then I ended up just not touching the story again when I started in February, March until the Friday before this Sunday release.
How much of it did you have written before, the Friday before you released it?
Up until he got off of the couch, which is very beginning of the story.
When he finally does get to the casino and we have, like, the tie-in from the other story, you start seeing, like, these images, like, on the what, slot machine? Is that the name? Words are hard. Not slot
Sure.
machine, that's that. Wait, no. I've obviously never been to a casino.
Yeah, I think they're still considered slot machines.
Okay, the little things with the pictures,
Yeah.
the rolly thing pictures. Um, so you that's when he kinda starts seeing these images from your previous story. Do you in any way feel like, because I know these are alternate, like, kinda universes, like, is there any type of, like, feeling that he gets of almost it being familiar, or is it completely foreign and just scary to him?
Yeah, like, I think I mentioned that where he's just like, the man looks like him, and he's just very, like, drawn to the screen, like, he can't look away from it
Mhm.
because even though he doesn't remember any of this, he still feels very connected to it, and he's very confused by it, like, he thinks that those images on the screen aren't just random and that they are chosen specifically for him.
Okay, I, for some reason, do not remember it looking like him. I remember, like, the creature, and then also, like, a lot of the other images that are from the other story, which I won't get too much into, but, so when he's doing this, he also realizes that, like, like, what he thought were, like, these homeless people were, like, the influencers that he's been seeing, like, what outside of his window, correct?
Yes.
Uh, like, what exactly is happening to them to have that, like, sunken in, kinda, like, stretched skin stretched over, like, corpses, kind of, like.
I kinda want that to be, like, more of, like, an illusion where it's just like these people who look like they're perfectly okay on the outside that he was just like, I can't connect to these people. Like these are like
Mhm.
spoiled rich people who have a lot more in common with the people like him than he really thought. Where they too, like, even though they went there and had some money to spend, have been sitting at these machines. Some of these machines are a lot different than your normal casino machines. I made them a lot more horror-stricken,
It's a little different.
but yeah, so I was just like, "Okay," but, like, in real life, I think that it's very easy to get into a gambling addiction, and even if you are just like, I'm going to go in there for this certain amount of money. They have ATMs everywhere where you can withdraw from, and you can get as much money as you want to. Like, you can get your whole rent or mortgage payment out if
Yeah.
you really wanted to, and just kind of like the life draining from them and making it so their life circumstances changing so rapidly in
Mhm.
front of them because there's like a psychology behind everything in a casino where like the sounds, the lights, and the dopamine kick of just almost getting everything in a row, like all the images in a row is enough to compel you to hit it. And like the spin is very short. Like it depends. It's like kind of that exact like bliss point whenever you're
Mhm.
spinning and like mixed with the anticipation where it can just really draw people in. So like that's what that was. I just kind of painted it in a more what is happening is we can say the machine itself is sucking the life out of them.
Okay. See, that's a little different than what I thought that it was. I thought it was more like a like I said, like the promise of like a casino, like you can hitting it big and then them being influencers. I kind of thought that that was kind of like a when you're so obsessed with what your life could be that it like destroys you, kind of like
Yeah,
a
which also yes, because, like, a lot of people, let's say in this situation, if there was really, like, a huge casino in New York City, which I looked it up to see if they're even, like, legal in New York City, I guess there's a push to make them legal, but anyways, so if you have, like, influencers telling you to go, then a lot of people who are influenced by the influencers are gonna be like, "Well, if I can go there, then I can have the money, and then I can become an influencer too. I
so
too can have the New York City dream." So many people go, like, without even, like, a free play offer, which is why in this story, like, $200, that's, like, a lot of
Mhm.
money
Yeah.
to go in there.
Well, that was
Like,
kind
no
of like
casino offers $200.
so when you were doing this, what did you go through like a lot of different paths of, or like a lot of different ways that this could end up before you settled on this ending being in the casino? Or was that kind of like once you
It
were in
was
the casino, you know?
Yeah, it was he was always gonna go to the casino. Like, it was gonna be so in my head, like, I mentioned in my description that I kind of wanted this to be resembling of, Uncut Gems, where like, that movie, it's very there's, like, a lot of anxiety build up in it for, like, the character because the character keeps doing so many stupid things over and over and over again
Mhm.
and getting himself into this really huge mess where he only has one option, which is to gamble. I think I've only watched the movie once, and it's been a minute, but anyways, I really wanted to, like, build up all this tension, like, that's why he had the shopkeeper downstairs, Zhuang, and he had the bartender, Sal, and there was supposed to be like kind of like more moments where this guy who just hated this casino was like, "Fine, I am finally going to this stupid casino because I have no other option." So I didn't
Yeah.
get to build up that tension as much as I wanted to.
I really like the tone of it and the way that you incorporated like the past story into the machine. I really liked that. I thought that you did a very good job with that. And I thought
Yeah.
it was really, really cool. So we don't really know his fate at the end of it because he is basically like locked to the machine and he has I can't remember how many spins left. What was it? 16 spins left.
Yeah.
And so we don't really figure out what happened to Chip. Do you in your head, and you don't have to tell us if you don't want to, but do you in your head know his fate or did you leave it up to like just be a mystery even for yourself?
I do know his fate, and nobody who entered that casino left that casino. So, and he was included in that. Now, what exactly killed him in the end, I don't know. But so if you go to a casino, like they're supposed to scan your ID and give it back to you.
Mhm.
So, like, anybody who is familiar with a casino is going to see that as a red flag that they are holding on to your ID. And of course, like you have a bunch of people who are coming in from out of state who are just like, hey, like this casino, it's a big deal. I want to go to it. Or I'm in New York City. Like, let's go to this casino. Or I am being lured in by this promise of $200 of free play. Like, I could get a bunch of money off of that. And so I don't know the owners, whoever, somebody is responsible for basically one of the biggest mass murders in New York City.
They really were just ambitious there.
Yes, because getting rid of the ID is going to make it a lot harder. Like, eventually, it's going to be identified, like, who's
Hmm.
who, but it's gonna be a lot harder without any of them having their ID on their person.
Also, like you mentioning the owners, that was the other thing that I was kind of wondering, like including the workers, because the way that I can't remember what the audio sounded like because I listened to it like while working, I think. And sometimes, but like I did read it, and in my head, it's like one of them like almost seemed bored to me while the other one was all like, ah.
Yeah.
Uh, so these workers, are they like human or are they like some sort of supernatural thing? Are they regular people? Are they are they like completely in on it?
They are completely in on it. They are regular people. I wouldn't say that all of the workers knew what was happening because that's a bit much,
Hmm.
but I would imagine that like certain promises were made to keep things quiet of what was happening. The people at the check-in stand might not even know what's happening because it's kind of like more removed from what's actually happening, but like your bartenders would know, the people controlling the music on the dance floor would know, and just people walking around would know, and
Okay.
probably like the creepy little twins at the beginning probably were in on it.
It's always the creepy twins.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that is like about all that I had questions for. Like I said, I really, really enjoyed this one. The tone of it was just like, uh,
Yeah.
so yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and like read it again because maybe there are things that like I don't quite remember that maybe I can like look back and be like, okay. And I asked her that when it was right there in front of my face. Good job, Kayla.
Yeah.
Um, But is there anything that you would like to add, like about this story or the way it's incorporated with the other one? Because you might be better at explaining, like, what to do if they go to your page and click on things.
There are 2 other things I wanted to mention. So this story also has another incorporation, and that was just kind of like more of a fun thing for me that I wasn't really expecting you to pick up on. But I have the story about this very special fuss soup, and I brought back in the character from that story
Oh,
into this, and the story, like, because and the story about the very special fuss soup. It's this guy who meets this girl named Cam, and they're like hitting it off. And in this story, him and Cam are married and they were expecting like a child together, and they had like moved to New York City.
see, I
And we're
didn't, it's been so long since I've heard that one, like, that I didn't, like, even put it together. So
yeah,
that's kind of
that's
cool.
okay. I did not expect it. That one is called Fucking Recipe, I think, because I had to.
Um, I don't know why when I read it, that didn't even click of what it sounds like, but when you say it out loud,
Yeah. I think Will read that story and he was just like, "Are you serious? Like, I have to read fucking." I'm like, "Yes, you do, and you have to sound serious while saying it."
I don't know how I didn't like it went over my head.
There is a technically 3 videos, 2 stories, 3 videos, and the first one is this audio recording that I kind of took inspiration from Dawn FM by The Weekend, where it's kind of like this radio sound, and like at first you're just like, this sounds kind of like ominous, but like I don't know if it is ominous. But this time I took it like very on the nose and was like, scared, you should
Mhm.
be, and telling you like you've been here before. And I really thought about doing these stories in second person, but I just didn't have time to play with that and see which one I actually liked more,
Mhm.
and I think I preferred to do the third person. It says, like, "The last time ended in your death," so click one of the 2, and you could have your option to choose either the story that we were talking about in this interview or It's Been Waiting for You, and this one, at the very end of the story, the radio announcement comes back on and says, "You have an option to choose another story because you died in this one," and that's implying Chip dies in this one. So if you
Mhm.
want to listen to It's Been Waiting for You, then you might not die that time.
Because I, moved down to the other section, I'm sure the cat could find it right away if he were in front of my computer.
He is saying very profound things, you just cannot understand him.
So, like, the Taylor Swift references, I remember seeing, like, and I think it was on, like, I don't remember if it was on the radio portion or if it was him talking to someone where they said the village is aglow. So
Yeah.
I do remember catching that one. And then also he's in the casino and it says there were boys dancing with boys and girls making out with girls, all while their feet continuously moved to the strange beat that seemed to match the rhythm of my own heartbeat. So did you specifically know which like references you were going to throw in here?
The whole dance floor thing kind of, like, threw me off a little bit because you and I have talked about it where there could be, like, a kind of good horror story for Shake It Off,
Mhm.
and that includes some dancing, but that one, I don't really know. I think it was just because I was like, "Well, I wanna throw in the boys and boys and girls in
Mhm.
there," and then at the very beginning, I pulled it up, and I'm sorry if I am not looking at the screen the way that I'm supposed to, but anyway, so it's "Welcome to New York." The sign reads with its atrocious bitterness, a slogan that's meant to be enticing that instead lures the unsuspecting, helpless, the gamblers, uneducated, the fools, and the witless into its gaping maw of kaleidoscopic shiny bullshit,
Mhm.
which
Like,
is related to the kaleidoscope of loud heartbeats under coats and the
mhm.
village being aglow.
Yeah, for some reason I completely forgot about the that line in the song. Like, I
That's
know
fair.
the song by heart when I'm singing it. Like, for some reason, I guess this isn't one that I listen to like, as much as other ones, even though I
Yeah.
do, like I'm not a Welcome to New York hater, I actually think it's a really fun song, but, like, I just is not one of my go-tos, I guess. Uh
Yeah, like, I think it goes back and forth for me, like, when I first listened to 1989, I was just like, "Oh, like, this is kind of fun, like, I like this," and then it just kind of I think if I'm listening to the album, I like it,
Mhm.
but if I'm listening to it on its own, not totally.
See, I don't think I've ever, like, not liked it, I've been not in the mood for it.
That's fair.
But that's one of those that I just think it's a fun song. I'm just like, "Yeah, you're singing this, Kayla, because you don't actually live in New York." Um,
That's fair, and
and
then
then
the other one is when he's, like, first being, like, welcomed into the hotel, they're like,
mm.
"Whether you wanna come or not, like, I can hear, like, your heartbeat underneath your coat."
Oh, yeah. I don't know why, like, I caught the very, like, standout ones, like the boys and girls, and then, like, obviously, Welcome to New York Casino, Welcome to New York is repeated throughout the whole thing, but I
Yeah.
don't know why, like I'm usually pretty good at catching your references in here, but for some reason, like, the one, like, the kaleidoscope of colors and then, like, the heartbeat undercut, like, that just, like
Yeah. It's okay. You know, when I was recording it, it was so hard to not say, Welcome to New York," or throwing in, like, way more welcomes than I should have. That was the right number of it, but it's just like, welcome to the," and I was
welcome
like,
to
"No,
the
I have to fix this." It's like, "Ashton, you are drunk. You are trying to record. Stop saying welcome so many times."
welcome, welcome. I,
You're
like
welcome.
one time I did actually think that it was a like, it was a person which is why, like, I was talking about the differences between, like, the people who work there, like, there's a lady where it's just basically like, "Welcome to n like, the and you're just like, "Oh, wow, you love your job, don't you?" And then there was
Yeah,
the other one where at first, like, the way you said it, I thought that she was, like, a robot at first for some reason. where
Yeah,
she's
I
just
was
like the
picturing, like, the VIP, like, cocktail waitresses who were just, like, way too bimbo-esque and just
yeah.
like, "Wow, like, welcome."
Yeah, I think that's why I was like, are they actually human? Like
Yeah,
maybe the one who seems a little bored, but the other one I kind of like pictured like and when you were saying it, it kind of just reminded me of like those those almost like I'm gonna call it like an elevator voice, but I don't think that's a correct term where it's just like welcome to New York Casino. I'm just
that
like,
was actually really
hello.
good.
Thank you.
But yes,
I was born for this. Um,
obviously.
born to be a robot. So I'm trying to think like were those the only ones in there? Because like I said, I only caught the boys and girls and then the Welcome to New York. And I don't know why like the other ones just kind of like flew over me.
Yeah, I think so. Cause like, I mean, if you look at the lyrics of "Welcome to New York," it's not really that complex of lyrics. So,
Yeah.
like,
Mm.
the other story got more like, the references that I did not do are in the other story, so I basically
Mhm.
divided the references.
Yeah, like I noticed the way that you played like even though it wasn't like you obviously like talked about lighting and stuff, but like that doesn't even need to come from the song to you're in New York, you're gonna talk about lighting.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, okay. I don't feel as bad that I didn't catch I guess I caught like what, 2 out of 4?
Yeah,
So it's not I caught half of them. Like I maybe other people will do better than me on this one.
maybe.
Um,
I did have the lyrics in front of me while I was writing, like, it was on the same document, so I was like, "Okay, I can constantly, like, go back up and say, okay." Like, the boys and girls, I'm like, "Okay, I wanna throw this in here, where do I throw it in?"
all right, so that was Welcome to New York, inspired by Taylor Swift's song Welcome to New York. But we will see you in the next one.
Bye.